The edges are, in my experience, almost never where you think they are. So it's not a bad bet as a coach to assume that whatever they say, they have to figure it out within the parameters that they're setting. It's a pretty good bet that that's the problem, is that they think there's an edge there, and there almost never is. So that be.
So, and sometimes a belief can be so deeply lodged it becomes a phobia. I mean, a real neurotic kind of phobia. And I had one of those a while back, and Michael worked with me on it. And I no longer have it. And because I no longer have it, I've got a beautiful little dog named Jimmy. And ever since I was about 1 and 1.5, I had just this neurotic, nervous breakdown, hyperventilating terror around dogs of any size, dogs that I could crush with my rattle if I had wanted to at that age. And totally irrational, and it never felt like a belief I had about them, although it was. It felt like, like people say, oh, it's at the cellular level with me. And so I can never work on it. It's just always going to be there. I talked to Michael one day and told him about it, and he invited me to come to his home to see what could be done. He didn't promise miracles. He was like, let's see what can be done. So could you tell him, so explain what you did. What did you do to me, man? I love dogs now. I mean, I really do. It's like Cass and I were walking out here, and I said, let's go over there. Why? Look at those dogs. And she said, no, you used to do it the other way. It's like, let's take the other way. There's some dogs there.
I mean, what I remember most about that day is you calling me from the airport to say, could I come meet you because you were worried there might be dogs in my neighborhood. And you were pretty safe at the airport that there weren't going to be any dogs there. And that was actually kind of an oh shit moment for me. Because people say they have phobias, but most people who say they have phobia, yeah, I'm scared of this. Like, that was a full-blown, what I would call a full-blown phobia. Here's the thing with anything like that somebody comes to you with. It has to be created and sustained by thought, right? There's nothing in. I mean, I've worked with people who had one guy who had a phobia of Jell-O. Genuinely, like when it jiggled, nauseous, just totally freaked out. I actually, in a seminar, it was a great demo in retrospect, but I didn't mean it to be. She said she had a phobia of needles, and again, I say that way because a lot of people say they have phobias when they mean they're very scared of something. Well, here was my simple test. I said to her, so if I were to reach into my pocket and pull out a needle, and she fainted. Now, you'd think she would have known it was pretty unlikely I was going to have a needle in my pocket. That was a real phobia. So the one thing that going in is it has to be in their head. There's no physical property in the world that could make that happen. Well, as long as it's in their head, that also means that it could change, because the great thing about stuff that's in your head is something completely different could be in your head in the next minute. So at the very least, I go in knowing there's a really good bet this could change. After that, I mean, with phobias, there are specific things, you run, if you study a bit of NLP, just in terms of like run something backwards, turns out that when you run a picture backwards, a sound backwards in your head, it changes the way it feels. Think about this. Here's a really quick way you can kind of get a quick sense of this for yourself. Think about something that for you is either a little bit scary or a little bit sad. And when you've got something, I want you to make the sound that goes with that feeling. So, for me, for example, if I'm thinking about something that's a little bit sad, like I'm thinking about my son was texting me from the Oregon game last night to go, I'm going to be on TV, third quarter, 4 minutes from the end. I know, I saw the cameras on us. And he was so excited. And we paused the video, and he wasn't in the shot. And I thought, aw, So that was the sound that went with that feeling. So I want you to go ahead and make the sound that goes with your feeling. Okay. Now here's what I want you to do. I want you to make the same sound backwards. So for me, you know, my Oliver at the football game, he wasn't on camera. Aww. Aww. So just reverse it. Just make the sound out loud, but the opposite. Okay, now think about the situation again. And make the sound that goes with it now. If there is a sound that goes with it now. How many of you notice that it feels different? Okay, almost everybody in the room. That's just an example of how the mind works. That's just, you know, because it isn't real, we can fuck with it. That's the technical term. I'll be introducing more of that in this afternoon's highly technical session. So that's what we did. We because I knew that real as it was for Steve, he was one thought away from it being completely different. I had a lot of freedom to fuck with it. And we found the particular permutation of that let Steve get his photograph taken with my dog and made Kathy very happy.
Yeah, it was great. And you know, he's treating it rather lightly what he did. And this is part of everything he knows how to do with hypnosis and NLP and everything like that. These are people investing years, hours in being a great coach. And I want to be great at this. I don't want to just be okay at it or just try it. Let me see if it's a fit for me. I want to just learn everything I can about it. So he put me through a lot of bizarre and amazing things that really had me stunned at the end. And it was very powerful because it was such, I keep seeing these examples. People out in the real world, not coaches, but normal people, think people can't change. They think people don't change, and they can't change. They'll never change. And our work says otherwise. And that's the beauty of this work. It's just like, it is so different to have a phobia converted into a love. It's just, I can't even write up in the best science fiction horror script something that different, that kind of a conversion, just by sitting with another person for a few hours. And so things like that, moments like that I've had with people coaching me and then people receiving coaching, they're just amazing. They're enormous. And so I wanted to bring it up.